Let me set the scene for you. It's March 23rd, 2025, and two of the best NRTS players are head-to-head in the series of a lifetime. Mr. Warner versus Sunnyside, best of 7. Stakes are high, a tournament victory is on the line. Neither have won a tournament in the new year, and yet here they face off. When you've got everything to prove, it might never get another shot. What will you do to show the world you've earned it? There's no time to think. You have to rely on the most consistent, best unit in the game to give yourself a shot at glory. Hold on. Militia? What's going on here? Is this a joke? There's no way both of these guys actually think spamming Militia is a good idea, right? Whatever, I'm sure after the first match they'll stop trolling.
Bruh.
In this whole 6-game best of 7, every single match prominently featured Militia, sometimes through the 20-minute mark and beyond. Can there be any explanation for this madness? Surely, the unit with the worst stats in the game, save for being undersped by artillery, can have no place in some of the most serious NRTS gameplay out there. Right? In all seriousness, my veteran audience is probably cringing right now. Militia are hands down the most important unit in all of NRTS, only rivaled by the workers that can build literally everything in the game. For those new to NRTS though, this fact is completely obscured by their poor unit per unit performance. I am here to clarify exactly why Militia are so good, despite technically being the worst unit in the game. While we're at it, I'll also be going over common obstacles faced when using Militia to help you better utilize them. This video is for you, Lieutenant Baconhair. Let's first establish that the strength of Militia resides mostly on their low cost per unit. In order to effectively use them, you should commit to making them in great numbers. This is not necessarily to say that 2 or 3 Militia cannot accomplish anything, but rather that by massing Militia, one can greatly offset their weak unit for unit performance. Now there are a few things Militia are particularly well suited to. Firstly, since they're the cheapest guns you can buy, they're ideal for shooting at farms. Even by destroying one farm, a Militia has already more than paid for itself dollar for dollar. Any opportunity you find to have Militia shooting at farms without losing them by default, you should take. Secondly, since Militia are just so cheap, they actually take cost-efficient trades into every unit in the game, barring heavy tanks. While a soldier on paper has better stats than a Militia, you can simply buy so many Militia for the same price that the Militia will end up winning the fight. Ditto for recons, choppers, light tanks, etc. This fact makes Militia a great tool for skirmishing and gaining ground, essentially acting as pawns do in chess. Recons and choppers would rather not die to a swarm of angry incels with high points. Use this fact to push your opponent away from key points on the map. Thirdly, since Militia can be produced so early in a match, as they don't require a unit producing structure to be built, they can serve as a wonderful tool to stop enemy workers from taking a farm in the first place, or deny them placing towers or turrets where you have Militia. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. In addition to the points previously mentioned, when producing as many Militia as physically possible, one only spends $54 each minute, leaving plenty of resources to spend on whatever one wishes. Spending said money on housing first is a great idea to help kickstart one's economy before amassing better units, but depending on circumstance, one might wish to make yet more units than one Militia every 10 seconds. Choppers, recons, and/or light tanks are great candidates. Friendly reminder though, your enemy gets a vote. You'll need to be prepared for some of the more common responses against Militia if you wish to actually get anywhere with them. If your opponent makes a Militia of their own, you're on even footing. Seek to either flank their army to destroy it, or to slip past their units to strike at their farms. If your opponent decides to strike back with higher tech units like tanks, abuse your cost efficiency to destroy their expensive units while losing only a few cheap ones. If they specifically make choppers with the intention to destroy all of your farms, make sure to hit their farms as well, and if they commit to more than 3 choppers, make a turret at your command center so as not to die. If your opponent manages to get a tower or turret up, which should only really happen closer to their base than to yours, seek to poke at their farms where you can, avoiding their static defense for the time being. If they don't make any more static defenses in the same spot by the time you have 12 Militia, you should be able to destroy their tower or turret while keeping the majority of your Militia alive if it's all you're fighting. Seek to catch the enemy's force out of position and roll back the static defenses. If the opponent commits too heavily to static defense in one spot, they're not spending their money on housing, meaning their economy will stall for a minute or two. Same goes for an enemy that makes towers everywhere on the map before their housing is close to complete. Your best response is to just let them burn their wallet while you make housing at your command center. If your opponent sees your militia and decides to sit at their base exclusively to make housing, take the farms on the map as best you can and maintain enough militia to hold your farms with the support of towers and turrets, then follow their lead and max on housing. Massing towers and turrets before finishing your housing is generally not advisable unless you have a large economic advantage, but you will by virtue of having 4 to 6 more farms than your enemy. What economic growth you temporarily miss out by making towers and turrets will be more than made up for by your ability to hold your greater numbers of farms. Once you find yourself facing heavy tanks, militia can no longer perform in a direct fight in any meaningful way. Your best use for militia will be to trade what numbers you have for some immediate advantage. Maybe you have an artillery out already, but no medics or hospital. Using 3 militia to soak tower shots for your artillery can help you apply pressure with your higher tech units immediately, rather than needing to invest into a hospital as soon as possible. Alternatively, you can charge into static defenses not involving missile turrets to quickly open a hole in the enemy's defense that can be exploited by higher tech units such as your own heavy tanks. Of course, wherever possible, placing a militia near an enemy farm is still a great idea. To actually hold your ground against heavy tanks, you will need more than just militia. If you haven't made a transition to other units by the time your opponent has a heavy tank on the field, the only thing that can keep you in the game long enough to keep fighting is static defense, so get your workers working. And by now, I'm sure the severe lack of subway surfers on the flanks of my video has driven off a decent few people. For those of you still here, I hope now that you understand just how useful militia can be when properly applied, or at least that you've enjoyed hearing someone else take NRTS far too seriously. Friendly reminder that if you want to prove me wrong on any of these points, I'll 1v1 you over at the NRTS Commanders League. There you can find other like-minded fellows who also take NRTS too seriously and post mischievous things in the memes channel. If you wish to participate in any tournaments or other events featured on this channel, that's where they're hosted too. There's a link somewhere around here. Click if you dare. Anyways, I've rambled on long enough, and I'm like a month late in getting this video scripted and uploaded, so yeah, bye.